Okay, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this second live stream class in a series of 8 in an introduction to Buddhism and meditation course from the Tibetan Buddhist Society. So the format for these classes is we'll look at some of the concepts in Buddhism and how to use them to deal with the stresses and challenges that we're facing at the moment in our life. Then we'll do some guided meditation and then have time for questions at the end. In the last class, we looked at the actual causes of our happiness and the causes of our tension, suffering, and discomfort. And we also looked at the different types of meditation. We saw that it's not the external things that give us lasting and genuine happiness, but our mental attitude, how we perceive our situation. And we saw that the mental attitudes that cause us discomfort are negative minds, and the mental attitudes that cause us true happiness are positive minds. Negative minds are based on agitation. Agitation is a mind that's unsettled, has too much thinking, it's not at rest at all. Negative minds are the main cause of our stress, our tension, our suffering, our worry, our discontent. Examples of negative minds are anger or hatred, attachment or grasping, jealousy, and so on. These are all tense, agitated minds which make us unhappy, and they can have a negative effect, for example, on our health. And if we act out of them, we harm others. Positive minds are based on relaxation and openness. They're calm, peaceful, stable minds. They're a source of happiness for ourselves and others. Examples are patience, love, concentration, wisdom. So if we want more happiness, we need to strengthen our positive minds and lessen the negative minds which cause our discomfort. And this is possible because our minds are impermanent and they are habitual. We can change the habit of an unhelpful way of thinking to a more beneficial mindset. And the method to change the strong habit of our negative minds is meditation. So meditation is a most useful method to transform and to recondition our minds to a more positive and happy state. Meditation is broadly defined as thoroughly and deeply acquainting the mind with virtue. So virtuous minds or positive minds are by nature happy and a source of future happiness. So by focusing on and becoming familiar with these positive minds, we are in fact bringing more and more happiness into our life when we meditate. And there are 3 different types of meditation. The first is stabilizing meditation. This is where we focus single-pointedly on one object. And this allows our mind to become still, to be free from the negative agitated states. And we find a sense of peace and deep relaxation in this stillness. The second type of meditation is analytical meditation, and this is where we move through an analysis to come to a clear conclusion. So we use analysis to identify faulty mental attitudes and also to generate new and positive attitudes. And there are 2 objects of analytical meditation. The first is where there's an object that we want to understand. So it could be a subject like impermanence, or we want to understand better the true cause of our suffering. So we use analytical meditation to get a correct and deep understanding of these subjects. Then the second type of object of analytical meditation is where we want to cultivate a particular state of mind. So a mind like great love, great compassion, patience, generosity. So we use analysis to allow our mind to take on those aspects. So we cause the state of mind that we want to cultivate to be generated strongly through analysis. And then once we've done the analysis, we meditate single-pointedly on the conclusion of our analysis. So we need both. We need single-pointed meditation and we need analytical meditation, because analytical meditation gives us a clear and correct view, and then single-pointed meditation on the conclusion makes our understanding more deep, more intuitive, and more heartfelt. Then the third type of meditation is visualization meditation. This is where we use our imagination or visualization to generate states of mind more intuitively. So we might meditate on a symbol, and as we know, a symbol can have a very profound effect on our mind. So I gave you homework last time, which was to meditate for about 15 minutes a day, and to meditate for a short time on single-pointed meditation on the breath, then to do some analytical meditation to generate the mind of love and the mind of great love, and then to do some visualization meditation. So I hope you were able to do this at least for a few days through the week, if not every day. With all of us having to spend more time at home at the moment, it is an opportunity to start a meditation practice if you don't already have one. So I encourage you to take the opportunity to start developing a regular meditation habit. Today, I'd like to look at the mind of patience. So this is an important mind to develop and to strengthen, because we're continuously faced with challenges and difficulties, particularly at the moment. There's so many problems, so many difficulties that many people are going through. So we need to know how to keep our mind stable and strong in the face of these difficulties, and not to feel daunted or angry or agitated. The way to do this is to strengthen our patience, our tolerance. When we strengthen our patience, then we can remain content, calm, peaceful, strong, regardless of what's happening around us. So patience is described as a virtuous mind or a positive mind that can remain undisturbed in the face of any form of suffering or difficulty or discomfort. And it's also the ability to voluntarily endure suffering. So it's not necessary to overcome all our enemies or harmful people or difficulties or problems. Just pacifying our own mind is the practice of patience. It's the equivalent of pacifying and controlling all harmful people, of controlling all difficulties. So patience guards our mind from being disturbed by any harm and difficulty. So in its essence, it's a very strong, stable mind that doesn't get upset. So there are many advantages to practicing patience, and also disadvantages with its opposite, which is the mind of anger. So anger or hatred, it's an agitated mind which sees something as unattractive, exaggerates the unattractiveness or the faults of others, then becomes antagonistic, and then wants to harm. So we use the term anger in this particular way in Buddhism. So it's agitated, it's uncontrolled, we exaggerate faults. So we focus on faults, on difficulties, on irritations, and then because we're focusing on it, we're exaggerating it. Then there's an aspect of wanting to harm, to hurt back, to retaliate. And anger here covers the whole range, from irritation and annoyance, to being critical and judgmental, to being hostile, to holding grudges, belligerence, rage, all this. It covers all this. So from the description of anger, we can see it's unrealistic. It's an unrealistic attitude because we're exaggerating. The problem is, when we're angry, we don't think we're being unrealistic. We're convinced that we're seeing reality. We're seeing the situation exactly as it is. We think the other person is wrong and we are right. So this is the problem with anger. It's a distorted mind. Also, what happens when we're angry, we're not happy, there's no joy, no peace. We're not in control. Our anger is in control of us. It controls our speech, controls what we say, controls our physical actions in a harmful way. It's the complete opposite of peace and happiness. So if we are able to lessen and eventually remove our anger, then we're able to have more peace, more enjoyment. So what's not anger is, for example, if we see a baby about to put their hand into the fire and we shout at them or we grab at them to stop them from hurting themselves. So this is not anger because we're motivated by care for them. We're trying to stop them from experiencing suffering. It might look like anger because, we're very energetic, we might be shouting. It might look like anger, but it's not, because it's coming from care, love, concern. Anger is where we have the intention to hurt the other person. So how does anger come about? Usually when you feel hurt yourself, this is the basis of anger. We feel some internal pain, and this causes us to retaliate with anger. Our usual reaction is we blame the other person. We see their faults, so we focus on that and we blame them. Then we do something to hurt them, something harmful. We say or do something harmful. But the thing is, we can't live in a perfect environment. In life, there's always difficulties. We cannot control external situations. We cannot remove all irritations. We will definitely encounter problems, difficulties, hurtful situations. The problem with responding to this with anger and impatience and intolerance is it brings us endless suffering and agitation, because the destructive results of anger, the negative results of anger, are more than any of the other negative minds. We're feeling no peace, we're unhappy, we're extremely agitated, our responses are reactive and out of control, we lose our capacity for good judgment, for rational decisions. And sometimes, the bad decisions that we make when we're angry can affect our whole life. So it can be really destructive for us. We do things what we would normally never do when we're in a calm and rational state. We hurt people, we say hurtful things, we do harmful things, and even to the people that we care for. And this is the contradiction. We care for people, but through our anger, we hurt them. And we hear of instances, of some parents who are so controlled by their anger, by their angry rage, that they even kill their children. So this is the problem with anger. It's the most dangerous of the negative minds. With the other negative minds, we don't totally lose control. For example, with grasping or attachment, we still, can discriminate between what's right and wrong. But with an angry rage, we lose all our control. We lose our judgment. We lose our discrimination. And anger can cause endless suffering. We hurt someone, this stimulates their anger, so they retaliate, and then that hurts you, and then this increases your anger, so you respond more angrily and hurtfully. So this is how our anger increases the hatred of others. And we can see, whole races and whole countries get caught up in anger. And this can cause centuries of conflict and civil war and cruelty between people. Anger also causes isolation and loneliness. If we're angry, if we're violent, if we're bad-tempered, nobody wants to be around us. We can lose our family, we can lose our friends, even our jobs. So anytime we have anger, we have more unhappiness. There's no advantage to anger. There's nothing good about anger. So some people might say there's justifiable anger. For example, if someone's mistreating a child, then we should be angry. Our anger is justified. But actually, this is not a good response, because it doesn't stop the behavior. It just affects our judgment. We're less clear, we're less rational, we're actually less effective. So it actually reduces our real ability to help that person. A better response would be to respond with compassion. With compassion, we can see what's the best thing to do for that child. It's more effective, without the anger, which actually distorts our judgment. Because remember, our anger is when we're angry, we're so subjective. If our friend does one thing, and a person we don't like does the same thing, we like our friend when they do it, but we don't like the other person when they do it. When the person we don't like does it, we say, well, I got angry with him, and that tells me that they're doing something wrong. But when our friend does the same thing, it's okay. So it's not our anger that lets us know that something's wrong, because at the moment our mind is quite subjective and judgmental. So then we might say that we need anger to motivate us to get things done. Like if we get angry about an injustice in society, something's not right. Again, we don't need anger. We need equanimity and we need wisdom, to tell us that there's something wrong with this situation and we need to fix it. So in fact, compassion and wisdom are much stronger motivations to bring about, change and intervention in bad situations. Because when we're angry, we're not thinking clearly. We're not thinking what's the best thing to do. So, when there's an injustice and we get angry, the things that we do to combat that injustice, in fact, just perpetuate more conflict. So anger is not the real solution to injustice in society. So a motivation from wisdom, compassion, are much more constructive. Then we might think we need the energy of anger. When we're angry, there's a lot of energy in it. But again, we can replace this energy with strong compassion. We can feel the same energy through strong compassion, without the aspect of wishing to harm. We can have strong compassion to accomplish some change, to have some good. So anger is actually, it's harmful for ourselves. It makes us feel bad. We're agitated, we're uncontrolled. And then after an angry outburst, after we've, an episode of our bad temper, we feel foolish. We feel embarrassed. We feel regretful. Emotionally, it's unsatisfactory. And then physically, it's bad for our health. It makes us tense. It can raise our blood pressure. So this is the problems with anger. But we need to be clear here that it's not a question that we're a bad person if we get angry. There's no value judgment in this. It's more a question of checking up whether this is an advantage for ourselves and others when we're angry. Does this bring the kind of results that we want? We don't need to judge ourselves, we're good or bad. We're angry. This is the reality of how we're feeling. The question we want to look at is this anger beneficial? Is this something I want to cultivate inside myself? Or is it actually something that takes away my suffering? And so I actually want to let go of it. This is the question we want to ask. So we need to really think about the disadvantages of anger. So for example, the problem with holding a grudge. When we hold grudges because we're holding on to pain, we create this solid thing of how somebody harmed us in the past and we just can't forget it. We have this grudge, we want to retaliate in some way. But we need to recognize that holding this grudge actually hurts us more than it hurts the other person. We really need to think about this. We have to be willing to question that grudge instead of just holding on to it, making it the center of our life. We need to be willing to say, actually, this grudge hurts me more than it hurts the other person. The other person maybe hurt me once, twice, 3 times, however many times they might have hurt us. But every time I think about it, I'm hurting myself again. So we need to recognize that this way of thinking harms us more than the other person. Because regardless of what they did to us, they're now living their life. Maybe they're not around anymore. They're certainly not thinking about it right now. But we can't let go of it. And daily harm comes to us by us continuously dwelling on it. So just by acknowledging that, it gives us some ability to say, okay, maybe I'm going to have to let go of this anger because it's just not getting me anywhere. We admit the problem at this moment is not what somebody did to us in the past, but our current clinging to our anger and our inability to let this go. Anger's been likened to you drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It harms you more than it harms the other person. So we need to really reflect on this and think about this and see how it impacts us in our life. Another thing to be aware of is in Buddhist practice, we don't see the issue as either we're suppressing the anger or we're expressing it. The alternative that we're trying to get through here is to try and reframe the situation, looking at it at a different way so that eventually there's no anger there to start with. If we stuff the anger in, then we're still angry. If we express the anger, it doesn't mean the anger's gone. We're still angry. We might have got rid of the physical energy, some adrenaline level might have gone down, but the propensity to become angry is still there. So we need to look deeply at this, to be able to lessen this habit and eventually remove it. So meditation can help us remove our mind of anger, and it can help us in two ways. So first of all, because anger is an agitated state, if we practice single-pointed concentration in meditation, then our mind becomes calm. We have less agitation, we're peaceful, we're relaxed, we're clear. When we have this type of state, mental state, it's really difficult for anger to arise, if you are feeling peaceful and relaxed. So practicing single-pointed concentration helps us remove our anger by removing the base of the agitation. From a base of relaxation and calmness, it's very difficult for anger to arise. Then the second method, that we use meditation is to cultivate the minds which are the opposite of anger, and that's mainly the mind of patience. So we use analytical meditation to get a clear understanding of the mind of patience, exactly what it is, how it feels. We generate it strongly in our meditation. Then we concentrate on it so that we become familiar with this mind of patience. And our mind starts to become more and more conditioned with this patient, tolerant, peaceful, calm mind. Other minds that are the opposite of anger that we can cultivate are, for example, the mind of love. Love is wishing for someone to have happiness. So we can think the person that's harming us is actually searching for happiness just like us. And developing a wish for this person to have happiness helps us to lessen and eventually overcome our anger. Then we can think this person doesn't want suffering. They're actually trying to be free from suffering. So they're actually the object of our compassion. Compassion is wishing for someone to be free of suffering. So if we can see them in this light, then we're less likely to be angry. Also, if we look at anger, part of anger is we focus on people's faults and we exaggerate their faults. So we see people in a particular way, when we're angry with them, but others see them in another way. We think this person harming us is terrible, but their partner or their mother thinks they're wonderful. So in fact, the person has good qualities as well as faults. But when we look at them, we only see faults and then we exaggerate them. But if we can start looking at and thinking about that person's qualities, that person's good actions, then this helps to lessen our anger. It's very difficult to be angry with someone when we're thinking about all the good things that they've done. So this is another way that we use meditation to help reduce our anger. So meditation, it's not just formal sitting. Anytime we strongly remember a positive mind and we apply it to a situation, we're effectively meditating because we're training our mind, in positive qualities. When we train in patience, then, our mind is free of strong agitation. We have a peaceful attitude, which makes us and others happy. It supports our wisdom. We make more balanced, rational decisions. So the opposite of anger is the mind of patience. So and patience is a most important mind to secure our happiness. So it's a positive mind. It's able to bear any harm and stay undisturbed and not retaliate or react to harm. So when we have patience, we have this ability, to stay calm, to stay relaxed, to stay stable, and nothing causes us to be uncomfortable. And if we can strengthen our patience, so we have really strong patience, really strong tolerance, then really we can bear, absolutely anything. So it's important to develop this mind. But patience, it's not like a rock. We're not putting up a resistance. It's more, we're completely relaxed. We're completely free. We're not bothered by the irritant or the difficulty. So this is the type of mind we're trying to cultivate. But often when we talk about patience, people think it implies being weak or being passive, letting people walk all over us or take advantage of us. This is not what we mean by patience. With patience, if someone is doing something wrong, we're still able to remain calm, stable, strong, and have enough space to work out what's the best thing to do at that time. Should we do something then, or should we wait till the person's calmed down? Do we need to be forceful to make the point? We can be forceful without being angry. Or in this situation, is it better to be gentle? Would that be more effective for that person in that situation? So responding with a mind of patience gives us the mental space and the strength and the wisdom to work out the best thing to do in the circumstances. It's not just letting people do what they want. As patience here, it's very active, it's very intelligent, it's very open, as well as being stable and strong. It's unshakable. This is the type of mind we're trying to get to. No matter what's happening, we remain calm, peaceful, even happy. So with patience, we can be peaceful, we can be rational. Patient people, they attract friends. They have good personal relationships. They can have good relationships in their jobs and so on. If we're calm when someone's agitated and angry, this can help that person to calm down and be a bit more relaxed, because our patient attitude affects the people around us. It helps them be more relaxed and happy. So how we develop patience is, first we need to start with being patient with small problems, small difficulties. For example, now we're all stuck at home, with all our family all the time. We're on top of each other. There can be, quite a lot of friction. So, we're trying to work and somebody is continuously interrupting us. So, we need to practice patience with these small difficulties. We can't go out to our favorite cafe. We can't go out and do things that we like go to the gym or go for a swim or whatever. So these are small problems. So we need to start with being patient with these. Then, by getting used to being patient with small problems, then we can be patient with bigger and bigger problems, bigger and bigger difficulties. Step by step, starting with small difficulties, then this allows us to increase our capacity to be patient, to be tolerant with major problems. Like if we were to get really sick or if we were to lose our job. Because everything is made easier through being acquainted with it, particularly when we start with small things. So for example, if you think about when you first started to learn to drive, it was so complicated. We had to think of so many different things at the same time. In the beginning, we had to really concentrate on what we were doing and we were finding it really hard. But the more we drove, the easier and easier it got. So through acquaintance, driving became easier. And now we're at the stage where we don't even have to think when we're driving. It's just automatic. So, the more we're acquainted with patience for small problems, the easier it becomes for us then to be patient with bigger and bigger problems. So what we're trying to do is to widen our tolerance, starting with small difficulties and then increasing our capacity for greater and greater difficulties. Because we can't remove all our external problems. We can't remove irritations. We can never make the world perfect for our needs. We can never get people to do exactly what we want. It's just not possible. The great Indian Buddhist meditator Shantideva said, unruly beings are a space. They cannot possibly all be overcome. But if I overcome just thoughts of anger, this will be the same as vanquishing all. So he's saying, irritating people, annoying people, they're everywhere. They're around us all the time. We cannot control them all. But if we were to control our angry response, our irritated response, this has the same effect as controlling everybody. If our response is calm, peaceful, stable, then we haven't allowed all these irritating, annoying people to disturb us. And effectively, we've controlled them. So really the best method to deal with any anger is to focus on the opposite of anger, which is patience. So if we understand it, we reinforce it in all situations, and we strengthen it, then because patience is the opposite of anger, our anger will naturally lessen and eventually go away. It's not possible to have strong patience and strong anger at the same time. The stronger our patience, the lesser will be our anger. So how do we practice this? So there are two main forms of patience. The first is the one where we're undisturbed by the harm inflicted by others. This is the patience of not retaliating. We can tolerate harm without angrily striking back. How we cultivate this type of patience is, when someone is harming us, think, actually, they're under the influence of a negative mind, of their anger. So actually, because they're under the influence of a negative mind, they're actually tense, they're actually suffering at the moment. So really, they're the object of our compassion. So then we try to respond with patience, compassion for them. We try to pacify their mind, eliminate their anger, eliminate their delusion, which is the cause, their negative mind, which is the cause of their negative behavior. Then another method is we can think, well, actually, they're driven by their negative mind. They're propelled by their anger, their negative mind, without choice, because they have this habit. They're controlled by their anger. So the real source of the harm is their negative mind, not the person. So, for example, if we were being beaten by a stick, we wouldn't blame the stick, which is actually causing us the hurt, but we blame the person that's controlling the stick. So in the same way, the person harming us is being controlled by their negative mind. So this is what we want to be, this is what we want to address. This is what we're upset with, the negative mind. So this is what we're trying to help them overcome, help them to control. Then another way to think about this, to practice this type of patience, is really, we shouldn't be that surprised when people harm us. The nature of most people is that they are controlled by their negative mind. They have very strong negative mind, and they're controlled by their negative mind. And people who have strong negative mind, it's natural for them to be harmed, to harm others, while the negative mind is controlling them. So if we can think like this and not be surprised, then this helps us to, be a bit more patient when we encounter these difficulties. So this is the first type of patience, of being undisturbed by the harm. This is the patience of not retaliating. Then the second type of patience is the patience of voluntarily enduring suffering. So this is the capacity to take on any difficulty and turn it into part of our spiritual development, part of our spiritual path. So instead of being overwhelmed and consumed by the sufferings and difficulties that we're experiencing, With this type of patience, the difficult experience is used to make progress, to remove our suffering. So we use problems as a method to get rid of our negative minds and the sufferings that come from our negative minds. So here we're trying to cultivate an attitude of being willing to bear small harms, and through acquaintance, we're able to tolerate greater and greater difficulties because, as I said, there's nothing that we can't cope with through patience. Any problem has two possibilities. First of all, there's a solution to the problem, and it can be remedied. So if there's a solution and we can fix it, there's no need to worry about it, to stress about it. We just need to go about doing what we need to do to fix it. We respond, but we don't have a tension or a stress about the situation. The second possibility is there's no solution to this problem. We've checked carefully. Maybe we've consulted with somebody with a lot of experience or a wise person, and we've concluded actually there's nothing to be done in this situation. So if there's nothing to be done, then there's no point being worried or anxious or fearful. We just need to strengthen our resolve to patiently accept this situation because there's nothing we can do. Worrying won't help. In fact, it just makes us feel bad. We just need to accept this is the reality of this situation. So if we apply this type of analysis, then we can conclude that whatever the situation is, we don't need to be stressed by it. But, this takes some practice. This is not easy because, we have a habit, of worrying. We have a habit of stressing. But it can be done if we make the effort, to try and practice patience. At the moment, people are facing so many difficulties. We're all afraid of getting sick, whether for ourselves or for others. It's hard for people who are isolated, they're lonely. So many people are facing real financial stress. There's a lot of uncertainty about how this is what's going to happen in the future. So patience allows us to deliberately bear this suffering. If we can bear suffering without being upset, then this is what allows us to be less anxious. If we have a greater capacity to bear suffering, we have less fear, and so we have less stress. If we feel that, whatever came, we can bear the suffering, then we won't fear it too much. We have an attitude, whatever comes, I can deal with it. I will deal with it. This is the kind of attitude we're trying to cultivate, step by step. The Buddha taught many methods that we can use when we're faced with problem situations, hostility from other people. The thing about these methods is we don't say to ourselves, I shouldn't be angry because this just makes us feel bad. But he gives us a way to transform the anger into something different. So we can recognize the difficulties. When someone's harming us or experiencing some real problem, we can think, this is actually an opportunity for me to develop qualities that I can't develop in other situations. So instead of focusing on, I don't like this, I don't need this, we can view it as a way for us to examine and transform our anger, our intolerance. Not to say that we're pushing our anger down and trying to ignore it, but it's an opportunity to really investigate it, what triggers it, and really work with it. If we can do that, then this allows something positive to come out. So we can transform a bad circumstance into a path to a more enlightened mind. The situation we're living in now with so many bad circumstances, it's important for us to start to try to make this type of transformation. Then this type of patience of voluntarily enduring suffering, we also need to apply this to our meditation practice. So for example, when we start to meditate, we might have problems sitting. We we're getting sore knees, or we get a sore back, or pain in the neck. So we need to be really patient with these difficulties. Also, when we first start to meditate, we can get shocked by the extent of our mental agitation, by how poor our concentration actually is. It becomes clear when we actually start to try to focus our mind. We can get shocked by the negative minds that we see that are there. So we need to bear with this situation, be patient with ourselves, to persevere with our practice, rather than become discouraged and give up. So if we are able to be patient and persevere with our meditation practice, then step by step, we will see improvement. You will definitely gain realizations. We don't allow the difficulties to discourage us. Again, it's not to say we have to have a grit our teeth and bear it approach to our meditation practice. That's not what we want. We want our meditation practice, we want to approach it with a feeling of joy. So sometimes if we're tired, it's best to rest and relax, and then to come back to our practice, to renew our practice, with more enthusiasm and with more joy. So we need to start practicing patience, first of all, with the people who are close to us. So we need to start with having patience, for our partners, for our parents, for our children. Then we need to, extend patience, to have patience for our friends, other relatives, then to practice patience with the people we work with. Often our work situation requires a lot of patience. Then to extend it to people we encounter generally. Then gradually, we are able to extend this to have patience for people in general, for all beings. But sometimes it's actually easier to be patient with strangers, or people we don't know so well, because we're on our best behavior, or we're not so familiar with their faults. So it's easier to be patient with them. But our patience needs to start with the people we're close to. We can't have genuine patience and love and kindness for the rest of the world if we can't have these first with the people that are closest to us. Just trying to generate love and compassion for everybody is theoretical if we can't start with the people close to us. So we have to start with the situation that we're in now, with the people with whom we have a relationship now. We're connected with them, we're responsible for each other. So, we need to start our practice of patience with the people who are close to us now, and with the small difficulties that we're facing now. Okay, so let's do some meditation now, and we'll do a meditation. We'll do a bit of single-pointed meditation, and then we'll do a meditation to generate a mind of patience. Okay, so the meditation posture, as I explained the last time, is whether you're sitting in a chair or cross-legged, that's fine, either's fine. If you're sitting on the floor, sit in whatever position is comfortable for you on the floor. You probably need a firm cushion to sit on to keep your back straight. You may need to put some support under your knees to be more comfortable. So that's if you're sitting on the floor. But either way, sitting on the floor or on a chair, the main thing is to keep your back upright and your spine straight. Then the second position is place your right hand over your left with your thumbs just touching, and then resting that in your lap. Okay, then you keep your mouth closed, your jaw relaxed, rest the tip of your tongue at the back of your top teeth. Keep your head fairly straight and then just tilting it slightly forward. Don't bring it too far forward. This will make you sleepy. Don't tilt your head too far back. This will make you agitated and distracted. So fairly straight and then just slightly tilted. Then your eyes should be half closed and gazing down unfocused. If you find this too difficult and distracting, then you can close your eyes or just have it very slightly open. Keep your shoulders level, and by resting your hands in your lap, you'll find your elbows should be slightly away from your body. So this is a meditation position found to be conducive for concentration, for meditation. So we begin by relaxing the body. And we do this by checking every part from the top of our head down to our feet. And if we find any tension, we consciously relax it. So starting from the top of the head, checking the muscles there. If you find any tightness or tension, consciously relax it, soften it. Now you might find some muscles a bit more difficult to control than others. In that case, if you just place your attention in that area and just think, now that's softening, relaxing, that will help to soften that and relax those muscles. Then checking the forehead, the eyebrows. If you're frowning, just smooth it out. Soften your forehead, your eyebrows. Then checking the eyes should be gently closed or slightly open. Soften your face, your cheeks, your mouth should be lips together with the jaw just relaxed. And checking the neck. If you feel any tightness there, just soften the muscles in your neck. If you're tensing your shoulders, just drop them, relax them. Checking the back should be straight but still soft. If there's any tightness in your chest, feel your chest soften, open up. And down to the stomach. If you're clenching your stomach muscles, soften it, relax it. Down to the arms and hands. Hands should be resting in your lap with your thumbs just touching. Down to the buttocks, the thighs. Feel those muscles soften, become smooth, relaxed. Down to the calves and feet. Feel now my whole body is soft, smooth, relaxed. So we generate a positive motivation for our meditation. You can do this by thinking, I wish for happiness and to be free from suffering. Everybody else has the same wish for themselves. So I meditate now to be free of suffering, to attain complete happiness, so that I can then help all other beings to attain this same enlightened state. Then we settle the mind with a few moments of breathing meditation. So breathing naturally, place your attention on the process of breath. Sensation of the breath as it passes through your nose, the slight movement of your chest and stomach. So you're bringing your attention inwards. Let go of all other sights, sounds, sensations. Let go of all your problems, your worries. Just for the moment, you can let them all go. Focus only on the breath. If your mind becomes distracted and you lose your concentration, just gently be aware that you've lost your concentration. Gently let go of the distraction. Come back again to the breath. And keep coming back every time your attention wanders. Feel your mind start to settle now, become still, like a very deep, tranquil lake. And we change the object of our concentration slightly. And this time, focus only on your out-breath. And think as you breathe out all your tension, all your problems, all your worries, any illness, any pain. Breathe out all your negative minds, your anger, your grasping, your jealousy, and so on. And think all these leave you with your out-breath in the form of black light, which then naturally disappears into space. Feel strongly that all these actually leave you as you breathe out and disappears. Feel now you're completely free of all problems, negativity, sickness, and so on. Then focus on the in-breath. Think as you breathe in brilliant white light, which completely fills you with all good qualities, positive qualities of patience, love, compassion, generosity, concentration, wisdom, and so on. You breathe in all good health, joy, peacefulness. Breathe all these in the form of brilliant white light, which completely fills you. Your body now is filled with white light natured. You're relaxed, light, calm, and peaceful. Then we do a meditation to generate the mind of patience. Remember, patience is a virtuous, positive state of mind that's able to bear any harm or suffering and remain undisturbed. So bring to mind a situation where you didn't get upset or irritated. You were facing some difficulty, but you managed to stay calm. You had a tolerance to the pain or to the difficulty. Your mind managed to stay stable, strong, peaceful, even though you were in a difficult situation. For example, maybe there was a child who was being irrational and having a tantrum. You have love for them, and so you could be patient with them. Or maybe someone you knew was lashing out and hurting you, and you knew them coming from a place of pain or suffering or trauma. And so you managed to be patient with them. You didn't get upset or angry. You remained calm, peaceful, stable, strong in the face of this difficulty. So recollect and generate again this mind of patience that you had then. Be clear on how it feels, the stability, the strength, the sense of peace, even in the face of difficulty. So when you've generated that feeling of patience strongly, focusing pointedly on that feeling of patience, then apply that mind of patience to a situation which usually slightly irritates you. A person or a situation, normally your response is to have some slight irritation. But now, when you think of that situation, you respond to it with that mind of patience. Now you have a mind of calm, strength, and patience for that situation. Then think of a situation, a more difficult situation. Maybe a situation or a person annoys you a bit more. Anger just starts. Now, when you think of that situation or that person, bring the mind to patience to that situation. Now your response is patience. Now your response is calm. You have a strong mind, a stable mind. If you need to, generate the mind of patience again by recollecting the situation in which you were patient. Focus on it, strengthen it, then apply it to the difficult situation. Now that situation, that person no longer annoys you, irritates you. You're able to keep your mind strong, stable, peaceful, calm in the face of that difficult situation. And finally, make a determination to continue to practice patience in any situation and hold this mind of patience single-pointedly. And finally, think whatever peace, whatever calm, whatever patience that you've generated in this meditation, carry through with you for at least the rest of the day and the days that come. Bring this sense of peace, of patience to every person that you encounter, every situation that you're in. And we release our concentration and we finish the meditation. Okay, so patience, it's so practical, because if we don't have patience, then we're just going to get angry and agitated and stressed, and we're just not going to get anywhere. So when we're experiencing difficulties, our response to it is crucial. If we respond with a negative mind, then we're just increasing our own tension, our own suffering. If we can respond with patience or wisdom or compassion, then we're cutting that habit of negative mind straight away, and we're creating a habit of a positive mind instead. So that's really, really powerful. So I'd like to give you homework again, and that's to try and meditate for about 15 minutes a day again, and do this meditation that we've done today. So start with doing your body relaxation, and then doing to settle the body and relax the body. Then do some breathing meditation to settle and relax the mind. Then do the visualization of breathing out problems in the form of black light, which disappears, breathing in white light, which fills you with qualities, and then do the meditation on patience. Also, for homework, I'd like you to consciously keep in mind, for the next week at least, to keep in mind this practice of patience in your day-to-day life. Anytime you have a difficult or challenging situation, think about patience, and try to practice patience and making patience your response to the difficulty instead of what your usual response of tension or anger irritation or whatever. This time, consciously think, this is a difficult situation. I'm going to try and respond with the mind of patience. So try and do that in your day-to-day life. If you want to read more on this subject of patience, the book, The Essence of the Path to Enlightenment by Geshe Acharya Thubten Loden is our reference for this course. You'll find a discussion on patience in that book on pages 141 through to 149. So have a look at that. Okay, so we have a little bit of time if you have any questions. Or comments on what we've been doing today. Or if you've got any comments on how you've been going with your meditation through the week from the homework that I gave you last time. Thanks, James. I'm happy that you found that easy to follow. That's great. Sebastian says they've got trouble concentrating when they're trying to concentrate on breathing. The meditations, your thoughts keep straying. That's normal, Sebastian. When we first start to meditate, it's normal because we're not used to concentrating. So it's natural for our thoughts to move away from the object that we're trying to concentrate on. So you will encounter this when you start to meditate. Your mind will get distracted. You won't be able to keep your concentration on the object. The main thing is you keep a part of your mind, a small part of your mind watching, so that when you do lose your concentration, you're aware that you've lost your concentration and you can bring your mind back to the object. And in the beginning, when we start to meditate, most of the session will be we're trying to concentrate, we're losing our concentration, we come back to the object. We're trying to concentrate, we're losing the concentration, trying to come back. So mostly we're trying to bring our mind back to the object. But as long as we're making the effort as long as we're aware we've lost our concentration and we actually make the effort to bring our mind back to the object, we're actually improving our concentration. So it might feel that you're not, the actual period of length of time that you're concentrating might not be very long, but as long as you're making the effort to come back to the object, your concentration is actually improving. The main thing is to keep the awareness and to keep trying to keep coming back to the object. If you find the breathing meditation just focusing on the breath is difficult, you can try counting the breath. So in and out, count 1, in and out, count 2, up to 10. And the counting can help you keep your mind on the object of the breath because it gives you something else to hold on to. As well as the breath. So try that, try the counting. But if not, you can also go straight to the visualizing of the black light, white light. Again, that helps you to hold your concentration on the object. So try those methods and see how you go. Okay, Neil says it's becoming easier week on week. I'm very happy, Neil. And as I said, with meditation, it is just practice. The more you practice, the better you will get at it. Thanks, Nicola, for your feedback. So Mary says it's sometimes not easy to be concentrated for such a long time, but I'm confident it will be better. Yes, it will be better. As I said, start with a short time. If you can start with 10 minutes or 15 minutes, the main thing is with meditation, it's better to start with a short time and manage to do it every day than doing a long session which you only manage every now and then. The key thing is the daily practice as much as possible. So if it means you only do 10 minutes, but you get to do it every day, that's a better way to improve your meditation, and it's a better way to keep your habit. So try that. If you find it's a bit too long, just shorten it a little bit. Do it daily, and then you'll find as your concentration improves, you'll be able to increase the length of time of your meditation. Okay. Okay, so Anya says, do you have any recommendations on how to be quickly aware of the anger in the moment and stop it in its tracks? It is an important practice. Yes, so how this works is we start small, as I said. We start with small problems, small difficulties, small irritations, and we practice our patience on that. Then, as our patience strengthens, we can apply it to more and more difficult situations. So the first thing is we need to practice, with the small things. The second thing is what we did in this meditation with patience is we were actually rehearsing ourselves in the meditation practice in a sort of like a safe space. We were rehearsing our response. So, we're generating the mind of patience. Then we focus on that, strengthen on that single-pointedly. Then we think about a situation where normally we'd get slightly irritated, and then replace that irritation with our patience. Then we think of a more irritating, annoying situation and replace that response with patience. As you do this, as you develop your patience in your meditation, once you've done it a few times, then you can at the end think of the person or the situation that makes you most angry, makes you most agitated, and then you can apply that mind of patience to that situation. So what you're doing is you're rehearsing it in your meditation. You're trying it, you're doing it in meditation, you're strengthening your patience in meditation. Then when I said to you, apply it in your day-to-day life. So you're remembering the patience, the mind that you generated in meditation, and you're bringing it to your day-to-day life situation. You do that bit by bit, first with small difficulties and apply it, and then you can apply it with more and more greater and greater difficulties. And then what you will find is in your day-to-day life, first you'll start to be aware. So first you will find you will respond to a difficult situation with anger, and you will realize after the fact, oops, I got angry. That was anger. I needed to apply patience. So then you reflect on the disadvantages of anger, the advantages of patience. Then as you strengthen your patience, then you will find as you're starting to get angry, you will be aware of it. Oops, this is anger starting. So I'm going to think about, why it's not a good idea to be angry, why it's better to be patient, generate the mind of patience, strengthen it, bring this mind of patience to this situation. So what happens is this, the stronger your patience, you'll be able to apply it quicker and quicker before your anger starts to arise. So Mary, what will happen is, as I said, first you'll realize it after your anger, and then you'll start to realize it earlier and earlier, and then you'll be able to stop your anger even arising in the first place. So that's how it'll work, if you practice this mind of patience, in your meditation. So I hope that's helpful. David says, where are our cakes and tea? Well, sorry, you'll have to supply those yourselves. Thanks for all your feedback. It's really nice to hear from you all and to see the different people that we haven't encountered for so long. It's so nice to connect with you again. Lots of thanks. So thank you, everyone. Okay, so let's so remember to do your homework this week, to meditate on those things, particularly meditate on generating the mind of patience and bringing that mind into your day-to-day life. So thank you, everyone, for your attention, and I'll see you again next week.